Hello, Army of Light, Earth Division, boots on the ground. Shauna L. Francis here. Today is January 29th, 2023. We have spent quite a bit of time with Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth here. I'm channeling her nearly every day and posting videos same day that I received the channeling. And she has been revealing some stunning information for us regarding the negative reptilian influence here on the planet. And she's been warning all of us that even for those of us who feel like we're pretty well versed in what's been going on here with the negative reptilians, even we will be taken by surprise by just how wide, far, and deep this influence goes. So today, Queen Elizabeth spoke more about the monarchy itself and how it's being run and where the negative reptilians fit in. So quite fascinating. I asked a few questions actually, trying to get some clarity on how this is actually working. So understanding it a little bit more today. Today she came through first off as her reptilian self. And quite honestly, I'm still not sure, so these guys they incarnate as humans, but their mind is owned by the reptilians. But then she's got this reptilian aspect of her. So I will ask more questions. I want to just get to the very basic nuts and bolts of how this works. We didn't quite get that far today, but I did ask some questions, and I have a little bit more clarity on this hive mind idea. All right, well, I hope everybody's doing amazing. Thank you for joining me for today's channeling with the Queen. Feeling really good today. I had an awesome day. It was just a nice, relaxing Sunday. Plus, it was productive. I got a few things done off my to-do list that have been on there for a few months. So it was just good. No wind, no headache, just feeling good. I hope you guys are feeling good as well. All right, so we just, like I said, she came in as her reptilian self, and we just spent some time together like that before the channeling, just, checking her out and feeling into the energies here. Again, impressive as a reptilian, really impressive. And I said, I think I'm ready to go, Queen Elizabeth, whenever you are. Thank you so much, Shauna, she said. Wonderful. As always, there is a lot to talk about. So that's kind of how that started. And then she said, the royal monarchy of today is not the same as what it has been. And then I didn't hear anything else after that. And we started this like 3 times. It took a good 20 minutes, I think, for the information to start flowing through. I don't know what was going on. But I'd asked for help. I'd asked for Cryon and Melchizedek to come in. I asked the Galactic Federation of Light to help, but I wasn't hearing anything after that first sentence for the longest time. And even right now, I don't really know what happened with that, but hopefully tomorrow, if I remember, I will ask the team, why was there such silence here? Is it me? Is it the channel? Is it static? What is it? So that was a little unsettling today, quite honestly, to just not be hearing anything. We're just getting to the fun parts here with the Queen. I'd hate for it to just turn off all of a sudden. All right, so anyway, we're back on track. About 1,900 words exchanged today. All right, the royal monarchy of today is not the same as what it has been. There are some subtle differences and not so subtle differences with the modern day monarchy. The long-standing norms and traditions typically carried out by the monarchy have also changed with the times. It's a bigger operation than it's ever been. Lots of paperwork and busy work, formalities, red tape, bureaucracy. Yeah, you could imagine, how the monarchy is ancient. You can imagine everything that goes along with that, and everything that they do as part of this, part of the tradition, just the traditions, right? She said, but at the end of the day, there's much ado about nothing. There are, of course, the finances, all the properties, the management of the royals' schedules, There's transportation, there are internal briefings, many departments and divisions and people. Some of it still trying to catch up with modern day technology and proclivities. Figureheads, she said, heads of parliament, prime ministers, religious leadership, various levels of consultants and analysts. She said, there are many rank and file workers supporting the monarchy with the day-to-day dealings of the quote-unquote business, she said. There are many on the payroll who are none the wiser to the more dark and nefarious actors calling the shots and pulling the strings from behind the scenes. This would include hundreds and hundreds of average citizens showing up for work, doing their jobs without paying too much attention to the larger dealings of the organization. She says here, you then have another layer of managers and administrators who are more or less plugged into the negative reptilian hive mind. 30 to 40 people, she's calling this out specifically. So I was wondering if there were hundreds of them, so it's really not that big when you think about it. 30 or 40 leaders and administrators that are negative reptilian plugged into the reptilian hive mind. She said some are in leadership positions, some are not in leadership positions, but play important roles when it comes to more of the inner dealings of the organization. She talks a little bit more about these 30 to 40 folks. These people tend to serve the monarchy for a very long time. They also live for a very long time. You can more or less think of them as avatars for the negative reptilian regime. So they live longer, they work longer for the regime. So Prince Philip was 99 when he passed away a couple years ago. Queen Elizabeth was 96, just to give you an idea. So then there was a pause here, and I took the opportunity to ask a question. I said, Queen Elizabeth, can I please ask a question? She says, certainly, dear one. I said, do these 30 to 40 people who are part of the reptilian hive mind, are they aware that they are part of the reptilian hive mind? Do they consider themselves to be reptilian just in human bodies? I said, can you please talk about the logistics here? And she said, thank you, Shauna. The hive mind, yes, there is an awareness. There is a knowing that who they are actually serving are the negative reptilians. They have incarnated into a human body, but they are serving the regime. She said here, they understand that they are part of this hive mind concept. However, like myself as Queen Elizabeth, they may feel that they are more of control of their lives than they actually are. There's a gap here between their perception of their reality and their choices and their actual ability to choose and act in free will. These people can have husbands and wives and children, come home from work and eat dinner, get up in the morning and go back to work. By outward appearances, they may seem fairly normal, though they tend to be a little bit more on the quiet side, a little more introverted. Maybe they keep to themselves a bit more than the average person. It's an undercurrent of influence, she said. All right. They are incarnating into these bodies, but they are reptilian in nature, just as Queen Elizabeth was. And then I had another question, a set of questions. I said, thank you, Queen Elizabeth. I said, so are they aware of the reptilian influence and that they are reptilian? I guess I really wasn't getting it. Like, do they have to hide this from everybody? Do they know that there are other people that they're working with that are also reptilian? I said, how much of this is conscious knowledge? Are they trying to hide this? She said, Shauna, imagine that there is a pre-life agreement to serve the reptilian regime. So she had talked about this pre-life agreement before. Many of these in human bodies have been doing this for a very long time. This just feels very normal to them. They come into a human body already predisposed to serving the reptilian agenda. It's a drive, it's a mission, it's an undercurrent. Then there is this connection to the hive mind. I said, so they are consciously aware that they are indeed aligned with the negative reptilians who are exerting this influence. Yes, she said, there is a knowing here. And she said, there's not much needed in terms of hiding this fact. They're already in human bodies. They are playing roles. They have their jobs. And by all appearances, things seem very normal for them. But it's the motivations behind their actions, it's their alliance and allegiance to the negative reptilians that direct their every move when it comes to the monarchy and the regime. All right. She said it's not difficult for them to carry on in this way. All right. So this is just the monarchy. So I imagine that we'll find out more about who are these human avatars serving the reptilian agenda and connected into this hive mind. So there's got to be a lot more than I think that just these 30 to 40. But of course, this is what we're talking about right now with the monarchy. I said, thank you, Queen Elizabeth. Please continue wherever you'd like. She says, thank you, Shauna. The hive mind at play here is, at this level, is very strong, and it's detailed. The actions, activities, the eyes and the ears. It's a shared consciousness that's being directed on high by more superior reptilian beings. They are very much like puppets, though it doesn't feel that way to them. They may feel quite empowered, actually, but in fact, they are carrying out the wishes of their masters. This was also my experience as Queen Elizabeth, she said. There was a pause and I said, can I please ask another question? She says, certainly, Shauna. I said, these 30 to 40 people that you're talking about, do they also take the ADR? And do they know what that is? And remember, guys, that's the adrenaline-related chemical that we talked about before. I just don't want to get flagged and all that good stuff. So I'm calling it ADR. Yes, Shauna, as far as I know, everyone working at that level will ingest ADR, likely in the pill form as I had been. This helps with stamina, clarity, and connection to the hive mind. And again, it's also a form of control for the negative reptilians for their minions. This is highly addictive for the negative reptilian bloodline. Excuse me, there is a dependency there, she said. She said, Shauna, the ministrations being carried out by the negative reptilian regime through the monarchy, through this extreme hierarchical system, basically control the entire world's monetary systems. Who would have thought that? She goes on here. It may not appear that way on the surface, but behind closed doors and through various alliances with other leaders around the world, this negative reptilian regime can wield massive influence on the world's financial infrastructure. The fragility of the nation's economy, of a nation's economy, in the palm of their hand. The stock markets, the interest rates, currency values, stabilizing and destabilizing economies. All around the world, every day, they have their own sets of checks and balances that keep even the wealthiest of countries at their mercy, whether it's known or not. Yeah. Take a country such as Sweden, she said, almost a pillar of economic stability. This is an economic playground for the negative reptilian regime. When it comes to hoarding and hiding the world's wealth, there are agreements in place with the highest levels of leadership of that country where this has gone on for hundreds of years. And I just asked for clarification. I said Switzerland or Sweden, Queen Elizabeth, because I've heard of like Swiss banks and that kind of thing. And she said Sweden in this case, Shauna. And then you look, she said, to some of the poorest countries in the world. Take Ethiopia, for example. She said here, it's no accident that the most basic of human needs are not being met in this country. Food, shelter, clean water, medical care, education. The negative reptilians in charge over the past 2,000 to 3,000 years have deprioritized people in places around the world that don't provide them with a high level of resources that they're looking for. A country like Ethiopia could be just as rich and abundant and healthy as any other country. However, the negative reptilians have decided that this is not an important place to them. Yeah, wow. She said here, you'll find that many of the planet's poorest and most destitute regions are that way by design, having been deprioritized by the negative reptilian regime long, long ago. Today's instabilities, wherever you may look in the world, are caused by the negative reptilians' wishes. Nothing is by accident or happenstance. It's all carefully calculated and orchestrated. Excuse me. It's not hard for a species such as them to wield influence over humanity because they are experts when it comes to instilling, harvesting, and working with fear. Yes, this has been abundantly clear here. Fear, she said, is the second most powerful emotion and can be extremely destructive when directed and funneled in particular ways. Fear breeds more fear. It's a long, continuous cycle, and they are masters at generating it. And I love how she went into this example. She said, many times, fear drives actions and behaviors that can cause catastrophic things to happen. So the negative reptilians are once removed from those effects. They may have generated the fear, but it's the actions that are taken by those in fear that may cause the calamity at the end of the line. So it's not easy to point a finger and say, look, this was the negative reptilians' fault. This is one of the ways they keep themselves so stealth and covert. Wow. Doesn't that make sense, though? I've never really thought of it that way. So if we're in fear, our leadership's in fear, or what have you, we take actions based on that fear. So the action may have a negative action from that, a negative reaction to that. However, you can't just easily go and say the negative reptilians caused that consequence. She said here, today we have a monarchy who carries on with their antiquated traditions, much of it symbolic, much of it meant to give the illusion of wealth and power and godlikeness. So we have the more superficial dealings with the monarchy, she said, but then we also have the deeper control systems, particularly with the financial systems that are also very much at play. You can see that the crumbling of such a monarchy will have a mass destabilizing effect on the planet. And in terms of the financial system control, this will be something that will need to be dismantled separately. All right, so yesterday she talked about the monarchy's days are numbered, that that's going to be a crumbling system because it was created in fear. She's saying that specifically as it relates to the financial controls, that's going to be a little bit different. So it sounds like the control of the financial systems for the entire world are kind of centralized with the monarchy. The monarchy is going to crumble, but this part of it, this control over the financial systems, not so much. She said, just having the monarchy fail and be dismantled does not mean that the negative reptilians and those working on their behalf will stop controlling the financial markets of the world. They will not stop their economic influence because the monarchy is no longer an institution. This will be a separate infrastructure that will be difficult to disassemble because the negative reptilians in power will not want to let go of this. They will find other ways to maintain this control. She said, we may see a day where we will say goodbye to the monarchy, but in terms of this deep control behind the scenes, this is another story. More on this later. Felt like we were wrapping up. I said, thank you, Queen Elizabeth. Is there anything else for today? She said, that's it. I'm complete if you're feeling like we can conclude for the day. I said, yes. So I'd had a lot of questions. All right, so that was a little clunky, but I hope everybody got that. Yeah. So I'm just going to allow this to register and soak in. Again, probably not a big surprise for a lot of you. Also, before I go, I want to just give an update on my son. So I remember I told you guys here a few weeks ago that White Snow had come in and given me some information about him and about his taking of melatonin and not to do that. He has stopped taking the melatonin and is feeling so much better. And I completely believe that it has a lot to do with White Snow and the work that she did with him and also the advice that she had given. So yeah, things are good for him. He says he's feeling fantastic, better than ever. I'm so thankful to hear that. Again, he's also had long COVID and trying to maneuver that's been tough, but he's feeling really, really good. All right, team. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for all your beautiful comments. Thanks everybody for your likes and all your support. You guys are amazing. Okay, team, I will see you all tomorrow. I love you. Mwah.